Hollywood. It's full of booms and occasionally something really cool. But in this series, we're going to take a look at why it's sometimes prudent to consult a scientist before you point a camera at something. Don't mention Superman 4. Don't mention Superman 4. This is Hollywood versus science. Yeah, some people would look at a movie like this and say,
It's his mother's name!
yeah, that's actually quite a twist, that one of them doesn't kill the other because their mums both have the same name. Whereas a scientist, on the other hand, looks at something like this.
Thermal imaging is showing me 24 hostiles on the 3rd floor. Why don't I drop you off on the 2nd?
And says, that's not how the infrared works. Now, I should stress that we're going to be dealing with in-universe problems here. So if space wizards are part of the law of that universe,
He's from space. He came here to steal a necklace from a wizard.
then I'm fine with that. But for instance, in the Marvel universe, you need air to breathe in space.
Okay, who here hasn't been to space?
Why?
You better not throw up on my ship.
You definitely need air to breathe in space. And the same, of course, is true for the DC universe. So in space, you need a spacesuit to survive. Yeah, because the spacesuit keeps the air in such that you can breathe. Cool, so if you're human, you need air to breathe in all of these universes. And in 1979, one of the most awesome films ever, Alien, hit the silver screen with a punchline. In the Hyperloop, no one can hear you scream. Sorry, in space, no one can hear you scream. Because not only do you need the air to breathe, it's also what transfers the sound around. However, a couple of years later, in 1981, apparently the writers of Superman 2 didn't get the memo. Because now you can have a regular conversation on the moon.
You. What kind of a creature are you?
Just a man.
A man?
How? And you might be thinking, this was 1981. These were amateur hour Hollywood outings. Now things have gotten much more sophisticated. Don't mention Superman 4. Don't mention Superman 4. Well, maybe, but for certain in 2007's Fantastic Four Silver Surfer, you didn't even have to be alien to talk in space.
Okay, you win.
Well, okay, let's skip all the way ahead to Avengers Endgame, an awesome film where you can also just talk in space and people can hear you inside a spacecraft.
No armies, no ground defenses of any kind. It's just him.
But all of this is small potatoes compared to Superman 2, which is so bad it's not even wrong. You see, spacesuits are pressurized, and what pressure is the gas molecules hitting the side of the container. In space, there is zero pressure because there's zero gas molecules hitting anything. So the main problem that you tend to get with spacesuits is when you get into space, they blow up like balloons because there's pressure on the inside and no pressure on the outside. In fact, that's almost what killed a guy when he did the first spacewalk. Because when he got out into the vacuum of space, his spacesuit inflated and he couldn't get back inside the airlock. So he tried to vent some of the air from his spacesuit to reduce the pressure such that he could get back in, which worked just. Desperate story. Make a good movie. So you know what would happen if you cut a hole in a spacesuit? Well, all the air would leak out of it and the spacesuit would depressurize. And after that, it would just be like a normal garment. Except in Superman 2, where this happens. Okay, so all good so far. That's just the air leaking out of the spacesuit, meaning there is now no pressure in the spacesuit. Yeah, this is quite literally like opening a balloon and expecting it to inflate. Now, the nice thing about the early Superman films is they're mostly set in the 80s.
Something is happening.
Yes, to all of us. The closer we come to an atmosphere with only one sun,
My God, is that a USSR flag there? Yeah, I ain't seen one of them for a while. But they did actually, even back then, manage to get the name of the next planned American moon mission correct.
Artemis, Houston calling. Come in, please. Artemis, come in, please.
All right. Which one of you guys is using the hairdryer?
Which is maybe a lesson in prudence about the prospects of getting back to the moon anytime soon. You see, the last Americans walked on the moon in the year I was born, 1972. And by the 1980s, it was just naturally assumed that we would be back to the moon sometime soon, which is why it's in the Superman movies. And here we are in the 2020s, some 40 years later. And you know what? America is still promising to get back to the moon in the next 5 years. And people think that I'm just way too pessimistic on the futuristic-y stuff. You know, maybe I should just believe more that we're going to get back to the moon sometime soon and beyond.
This is the plan. In 2016, a communication satellite and a supply mission. 2018, a large planetary rover will be sent to Mars.
In 2020, living units, life support units, a rover, and more supplies will be sent to Mars. The crew will depart in September 2022.
April 2023, the humans will land on Mars. The next giant leap for mankind.
Elon Musk just announced his plans to begin colonizing Mars. He proposes that he could have humans on Mars by 2024 and use the same tech to get people to travel anywhere around the world in under 1 hour.
So then in 2024, we want to try to fly 4 ships. 2 of which would be crewed. So we should, particularly with 6 ships there, have plenty of landed mass to construct the propellant depot.
SpaceX founder Elon Musk tweeted out Wednesday that he's hoping to land one of his capsules on the surface of Mars in May of 2018. That's
not that far away.
No, that's just a couple of months. Wow.
Well, let's just say that my optimism has been tinged with 40 years of reality, listening to those exact same promises and having nothing delivered. And also, now that I'm a scientist myself, I now have a very deep understanding of just how difficult it is to keep people alive in space. Going to the moon took about 5% of the federal budget of the richest country on the planet and went on like that for several years.
Then build up the base, starting obviously with one ship, then multiple ships, then start building out the city, then making the city bigger, even bigger.
And if you think that CGI promises from a mere billionaire is going to get us not to the moon, but to Mars within the next 3 years, well, I've got some excellent and completely accurate sci-fi for you to enjoy. Like when our 3 evil alien villains confront the lunar lander, and the pilot's first response is, "No, I came across this in basic training. If something slightly strange happens when I'm on the moon, my first response should be to immediately blast off and leave my colleagues to suffocate on the moon a couple of hours later. Let's count down the reaction time of panicky idiot in the lunar module." And they go, start 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Wow, 3 seconds reaction time to leave his colleagues on the moon. And in any event, this is not how the lunar lander was designed to take off from the moon. It left the descent stage behind to make the takeoff weight lighter. It didn't take off like this, but this is still small potatoes compared to, don't mention Superman 4, don't mention Superman 4, Superman 4. Where Nuclear Man is created when Superman throws a nuclear missile with one of his hairs into the sun, because, oh, why not? And of course, Nuclear Man can only function when he's being hit by sunlight. Maybe they should have called him Solar Man. But he does have a remarkable ability to grow his nails.
Meg's, super amazing ability to grow her fingernails.
So they have a big fight, and Radioactive Man knocks Superman into the moon, because why not? Then he goes to kidnap a girl, because why not?
Oh, don't be overdramatic, young lady. What kind of disaster could we possibly help bring about?
And takes her into space, because oh, why not? And of course, our first response of our girl in space isn't, my god, there's no air to breathe up here. No, her hair is being blown around like she's still in the atmosphere. No, apparently the lack of oxygen doesn't bother her. But falling does. Well, actually, at this sort of altitude, you can't tell if you're falling or not. Unless you're in propulsive flight, you would both appear to be weightless. You know, just like Ed White on America's first spacewalk. Oh, look at that puffy spacesuit. When he got out of Gemini, the two just cruised along next to each other because there was no force accelerating one that wasn't accelerating the other. Which is exactly what happens earlier in the film when Superman has to rescue a cosmonaut. Sorry, Superman, they can't hear you. They got that right. Even in Star Wars, it's made clear that even space wizards need air to breathe. And even though they can change things with forces that make them fly through space like Mary Poppins, the thing that's most important is that we can't hear the people in the spacecraft because we're in space and you can't hear things in space. Anyway, Superman decides to rescue the girl in the most logical way possible. Radioactive Man needs the sun to have his power, and so obviously you just move the moon into the way, and boom, problem solved. Except, hang on, just wait a sec. Rocks are actually pretty fluid at those sorts of pressures. I mean, just to get an idea of the energies involved, let's take a quick look at a sub-moon-sized object being stopped by colliding with it with the Earth. And this is a reasonable simulation of about the energies involved. So now imagine trying to stop the moon, not with a big contact like the collision here, but with a single point of Superman's hands. At the point of contact, you would just melt the rock and push through it like a pin through a grape. In fact, that's actually exactly what happens in another of the Superman films. But ignoring all of that, gravity still exists in this universe because the moon is orbiting the Earth, and presumably it still causes the tides on Earth, and moving the moon like this would cause massive tidal waves everywhere on Earth. But hey, he saved the girl from falling, so I guess that's okay then. Yeah, I felt the itch to try something new, because believe me, seeing some of these movies through the eyes of a scientist can be quite entertaining. But that's just me. Let me know what you think below. Many thanks to all those who support this channel through Patreon, and as ever, thanks for watching.